Hello, and welcome to the Voice of Florida Architecture. I'm your host, Rhonda Hammond, AIA, and your AIA Florida 2024 president. Today, we meet the final of our four vice presidents, Kelly Wieczorek, AIA, our vice president of advocacy. But first, just a quick update on the AIA Florida Board of Directors. The board met in beautiful Destin, Florida, hosting the strategic planning meeting. Led by none other than Bob Harris, CAE of Harris Management Group, this plan steers the board for the next 3 years, establishing clear goals for the association, focusing on delivery of services to members, reaching out to our community, and advocating for the rights of the profession. You'll hear more from our 2025 president, Elizabeth Camargo, AIA, in an upcoming interview with her here. As I mentioned, we have the distinct privilege of speaking with our Vice President of Advocacy, Kelly Wieczorek, AIA. Kelly hails to us from AIA Florida Northwest. Welcome, Kelly, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Rhonda. I appreciate the warm welcome. It's my pleasure to be here. I am really excited to discuss the work that we're doing at AIA Florida and share the insights on the important advocacy initiatives that we're championing. So I think this podcast is the first time we've had this platform to discuss advocacy. So really excited, looking forward to this conversation, and hopefully we can provide some clarity for our members on what AIA Florida does.
So I know you have a lot to share about our advocacy efforts, but first, can you share with us about your journey to architecture?
Sure. So my journey was not exactly a linear journey. I actually was in my sophomore year at the University of Florida, go Gators, when I took design one as an elective. So I had a summer job as a runner at an engineering firm, and it looked interesting. And at that time, while I had plenty of credits to move forward with a major, I was not one of those that knew exactly what I wanted to do growing up. So I was at that point attempting to triple major in architecture, sociology, philosophy, and while doing the pre-med track. And so
Wow.
so it was, I really think all of that has really brought just a different level of understanding to me on the project types I work on. But so yeah, that brought me to my bachelor's degree, and I still was not quite convinced that was my path. So I nearly moved to the Virgin Islands. But luckily, I did end up returning to grad school, and thankfully found my way to some really great mentors and peers that really showed me that architecture could bring the same level of adventure that I was seeking within the profession.
There you go. That's great. So the ongoing work of our advocacy committee in conjunction with our general counsel and FAPAC is the least tangible benefit, but by far the most impactful on the day-to-day practice of architecture, not only for just our members, but for all the architects around the state. So Kelly, tell us about the work the committee does for us.
Sure. So the AIA Florida Advocacy Committee really plays that crucial role that we need in advocating for the interests of the architects and the built environment in Florida. So primarily what we're doing is focusing on public policy that advances the AIA Florida's legislative priorities, but we also engage the regulatory agencies that work on issues that are important to architects. And really, at the end of the day, the committee aims to simply empower our members to advocate for themselves and for the profession. So we're really working to ensure that architects have a voice in all the decisions that impact the profession. And this is everything from building codes to environmental regulations to public safety. So again, we do this with advocacy. We really try to educate and keep our members aware of what's going on, and just collaborating as much as we can at the state and local government levels.
Can you explain the roles of the general counsel and FAPAC and how their relationship works?
Yeah, sure. So our general counsel, Gray Robinson, have been great. We have teamed with their members for decades as being our advocates. And essentially what they're doing is, while we're looking at certain times and meetings and our day on the Hill, they are throughout the entire legislative session really working on our behalf. So they're meeting with our legislators regularly. They're communicating with other organizations that work with us. They're meeting with our AIA Florida staff and our leadership at the board level, and really just ensuring that we're tracking all of the policies and the bills that may be moving forward, so that we are most educated to make decisions that we need to make. And one key item that I don't know that all members are aware of is we do have the legal helpline that's available now to only AIA Florida members. So this is somewhere where you could submit a question and get answers from our general counsel. This might be everything from a question on a contract to an HR issue in your office, but but there are a limited number of hours that are allotted for each member to be able to participate in this. And so that's just a really great resource that we have as part of our council.
I'm so glad you brought that up because there's so many benefits, and that's an important one. We need to make certain we get that out there.
So you'd also asked about the role of FAPAC. So for those unaware, that's the Florida Architectural Political Action Committee, and this plays a vital role within AI Florida because it really supports our advocacy efforts of the entire organization. So this is promoting and advancing our interests and our policies and all those who support the profession in Florida. And essentially this is done through contributions to the candidates who support our goals. So we are raising funds, distributing candidates who are aligned with our policies. And it's really getting in front of those candidates to speak to them and to really share what we as architects do.
So what are some of the reoccurring issues that we follow and advocate for?
So we're seeing some of it's the same language. The CCNA, which is Consultant Competitive Negotiation Act, regularly comes up. So for those that are not aware, this is the qualification-based procurement system that is essentially the gold standard for states across the country, and this is related to all public work. CCNA is establishing procedures for agencies to select a firm based on qualifications, and certainly there is a way to negotiate a fair price once that's determined, but this is really the only fair and objective way to select design professionals. So we're certainly always an advocate of that. And then other items that have come up in recent years, Good Samaritan language. This is particularly important to our state as seems to be constantly dealing with the hurricanes right now. But this is really just a legislation that provides immunity from some of the civil liability that comes to a person that may be certainly coming to assess or provide any kind of service during an emergency response when dealing with some of these management services. So certainly want our architects who are trained in order to look at these and provide some input on safety of our buildings to not face any legal repercussions from doing so. And then also looking, certainly advocating for our license. And this is everything from protecting how we're licensed in Florida and making sure that anybody else coming to the state of Florida also meets the same requirements for education that we have. And deregulation has become one of the bigger ones lately that we're seeing. This is really just kind of focusing on the fact that we are a regulated profession, we are a licensed profession, and we are to uphold health, safety, and welfare standards. And so certainly our license is meaningful and we need to maintain it as much as possible.
So Kelly, is there one singular issue that's more important in this upcoming legislative session?
Well, there are some rumblings about a regulatory change at the Department of Business and Professional Regulation. We know there's going to be changes with that group, but we just don't exactly know what that is yet. So this is, again, why it's so important that we have the Gray Robinson team, George and Jessica, following this closely and really kind of seeing day to day what's going on. But we're tracking that, and we're going to certainly do everything we can to keep the regulation intact. Again, AI Florida is the only organization that is looking to protect the interests of our profession. So we certainly encourage everyone to attend Legislative Day. This year, it's going to be February 4th, 2025. So this is going to be a really impactful session, so please make plans to attend.
I was unaware of the advocacy efforts of AI Florida when I became involved. And to be honest, I was taken aback. At first, anyone would even consider deregulation and how often it was on the legislative agenda. And then the multitudes of ways that the practice is targeted, even resulting in some of our scopes being moved to other disciplines. If AI Florida is not there speaking for us, we let others, I think, by default make these decisions for us. And there are some people there that I wouldn't want making decisions for me. If someone wants to get involved in our advocacy efforts, how do they join us?
Well, to me, that's a really great question. This is something as VP of Advocacy, I'm certainly going to promote this. But advocacy starts at the local level. And so, really kind of get involved with your local chapter, seeing what's going on. And also you can reach out to the Advocacy Committee. The AI Florida website certainly has a lot of resources. It'll outline our initiatives and how to get engaged. We often have opportunities for members to participate in legislative events. And this could be anything from a single event, perhaps meeting with a local legislator on an issue in your hometown, to meeting at the state level. So of course, I'm going to encourage everyone to attend Legislative Day in Tallahassee. Coming up this year, we're already getting ready for it. This is when you see all the architects, descend on Capitol Hill. It's such a powerful day. And personally, I really like the camaraderie of having so many architects get together because you really do see the impact on that level. But if being out in front of the public is really not your thing, there's certainly other options that you can do. You could into the FAPAC committee, contribute to our advocacy goals, and really we just want to make it easy for to encourage our members to get involved in a way that it really aligns with their interests. So this may be direct advocacy, or it may be participating in a campaign, but there's always an opportunity to make a difference.
So Kelly, now I'm gonna brag on you a little bit. Right now you're our vice president of advocacy, and during our annual meeting this year, you were elected as our 2025-2026 Secretary Treasurer. You've served in this position previously. You were recently the president of AIA Florida Northwest. And in 2010, you were the AIA Florida Associate Member of the Year. You have a long history of service to AIA. Tell us why you joined and why you think it's important.
I will tell you without hesitation that everything I've given to AIA has been repaid tenfold to me. I was lucky enough to be surrounded by mentors early in my career that encouraged my involvement, and I just never looked back. So whether it was the local level, joining state level, and I think I'm probably pushing 20 years of some level of involvement. But I've met so many people, great friends through this organization. It has brought me to so many new places, challenged me in ways that made me grow personally and professionally. And I will say through every different, role that I've performed in this chapter, I've learned something. And so I encourage everyone that I know through our chapter, any new employee I have, to join your AIA. It will be, without a doubt, the best decision and investment that you could make in your profession.
Thank you, Kelly, and congratulations on your election. And thank you for your service to AIA Florida and our profession at large. And more importantly, thank you for being here today, sharing all the advocacy efforts.
Thank you so much. Hopefully this will trigger somebody to get involved.
I hope our listeners enjoyed getting to know Kelly and learning about how the Advocacy Committee champions your right to practice. I hope you've been inspired to add your voice. I welcome you to follow our podcast so you won't miss any of the upcoming episodes. In the near future, you'll meet our incoming AIA Florida 2025 President, Elizabeth Camargo, AIA, and our Executive Vice President, Ms. Becky Magdaleno, Honorary AIA, and the Chair of and our newly appointed members to the Board of Architecture and Interior Design. This is Rhonda Hammond, AIA, your host. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Voice of Florida Architecture.